Mm-hmm.
Hey, what's going on? Y'all know what time it is, man. The 95 North Sports Machine, man. We keep it rolling. NBA draft time. So, me, my boy Chris, our boy Bryce, we're going to give y'all some quick thoughts on what the Hawks should do with that number one pick. And there's a lot of rumors going around, and Atlanta is hot right now when it comes to sports. Falcons, you got Kirk Cousins and Michael Penix. Hawks, they got the first pick in the draft.
Oh yeah.
So, we'll see what direction they're going to go. But, trust me, it's gonna be very interesting to see what they do. Will they stay at number one, take the best player available who they think can fit this team, help take
Mm-hmm.
this team to the next level, or will they make a deal, move down, gather more picks in the future, maybe get another player, or two involved. I mean, we'll discuss all that, but we're gonna
Mm-hmm.
take it piece by piece. But before we get started, man, tell the people what's up.
Oh man, you already know. Draft time, man. Atlanta Hawks 3% chance of winning, but we did it. We won it. We're here now. A1 Forever Sports. Chris Tipmore here with Bryce and Smitty, man. Here for a little afternoon show. Everybody come on in, because we talking Atlanta Hawks about the NBA draft, man. I really can't wait to see exactly what's going to happen. Like I said, we're going to get into it, but Bryce, let them know what's going on, man.
Yes, sir. Yeah, man. Big time. Got the schedule released tonight too for the Falcons. So,
Don't forget about
that's people gonna be talking about that. Then once we get past draft time, we'll get into more of the trade rumor time. And it's just always gonna be a cycling. The news is gonna be always cycling. It seems like with the Atlanta sports team, especially the Hawks. So really exciting time, man. For real.
it. It is.
Appreciate y'all having me on here, man. Talk about this since this is a big topic,
Oh
highly
yeah.
debated
Fact,
topic in the community.
Oh yeah, we're gonna be
facts.
talking about this thing all the way up to June 26th, man. That's when the draft jumping off. So Hawks have roughly over a month before showtime before we got to get into it. And the media, man, they've been saying some things talking about maybe the Hawks should trade this pick. Maybe they should take Sar. We're in the media all over the place, whether good or bad right now. They have Atlanta in their mouth, so we got to get into it, man. Smitty, did you happen to still have those clips that we was talking about?
Nah, I couldn't load
No,
them, man. Couldn't
no
load
problem, no problem. See, the clips that we're talking about here was the fact that Lou Williams was saying that he was hearing in the city streets that we possibly saying want to trade the pick. Now I admit,
Oh, hold on. I can pull it up, but go ahead and keep talking. I
yeah,
probably
man. But the thing about that is, I've heard some of the same things, man. I've spoken to Hawks fans that say, "Hey, man, it's no clear cut number one in this draft. I like Sar, but we should trade the pick." You know, it's out there. It really is. I've heard it myself. But do I think we should trade the pick? I mean, we'll get into that a little bit more as well. I know Smitty trying to pull it up so you guys can see. If you haven't seen it, it was quite interesting, and he also defended. Some people was talking about it on Twitter, and he came out and said, "Hey, man, that's just what I'm hearing in the streets. It's not that I'm saying trade the pick or whatever. I have no problem being inaccurate." So that's another thing too. But regardless, it's out here in the streets. I don't want to say it's divided. I think majority of Hawks fans would probably just like to take Sar and call it a day. You don't make it easy. It's like a slam dunk to them. But in this draft, the league considers this draft not as strong. It's not us. We can consider it strong all we want, but the league is considering this as a weak draft. Like, I've seen articles to where it says this particular draft, if it was last year, the number one pick really starts around the eighth position. So pretty much they're saying 7 guys from last year's draft would be better than the top number one pick from this year's draft. Now that's
wow.
subjective, of course, but there are reports.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's actually sound a lot. But this is what Lou Williams had to say, man. He says he keeps his ear to the street. Y'all determine that for
To the
yourself.
street. Atlanta Atlanta Hawks fans are pissed about having this number one pick. The post is in one of the weakest drafts that's been projected, we get the number one pick. That's the joke around town. And so I think the feeling of the city is trade this pick and make that into some veteran guys that you can bring in and actually put some pieces around a Trey Young, a DeJounte Murray that you guys can continue to move forward and try to build from there. Atlanta, the vibe is they're in no mood for a rebuild. They don't want any young talent. They want to be in the mix with the Indianas, the Knicks, and all of these teams that are turning the corner, who have all-star caliber guys and superstar caliber guys like a Trae Young, like a DeJounte Murray, who both have been in respective all-star games. This city does not want any young talent right now. They want to trade that pick, and they want to get some guys that can come in here and help win right now.
And there you have it.
Hey, it's some truth in there, though.
It
We
is.
are ready to compete
It's
with the Knicks and the Pacers and the Celtics, of course, and all those teams that's at the top, man. So, I mean, there is truth in that. But again, should we really just trade this pick? I mean, I feel like the Hawks should look at it from all angles. I don't think they should just go right into it. But hold on, wait a minute, though. If they feel like Sarr is the guy, for example, if Sarr is the guy, that's what they feel. And if they feel comfortable playing him at the 5 all the time, hey, I say take your guy. Don't even play with it. But if there's a chance that you can listen to offers, somebody can fall in love with the top spot and give you a good offer, you have to at least, listen to it and take it into consideration. So I just think as far as that goes, the Hawks should look at it at all angles because it's a chance, man. It's definitely a chance. And I know the chat, shout out to the chat there, and they're giving their opinions as well about the number one position, as in there really is no clear-cut number one like it has been with previous drafts like Zion, Ant-Man, Wemby, and everything like that. So there's no clear-cut number one, and of course they'll give it to the Atlanta Hawks when there is no clear-cut number one. But
Facts.
Bryce, what you thinking about those comments from Lou Williams, though?
I mean, I feel like Lou said afterwards, he was just like, "This is what I'm hearing." I mean, like I said, there are people who believe that, who want us to compete. Like I said, immediately. So they're like, "Well, we might as well trade the pick and see who we can get." I know on Jeff Teague's podcast, he also talked about it. He mentioned the Hawks trading the first pick for Mikal Bridges. I was like, I don't know how moved I am by that, but but he also followed that up by also saying trading DJ for Brandon Ingram, and I guess that's how he would justify doing that move. And then you bring in 2, I guess, all-star level players and doing it that way. If the Hawks want to go in that direction, but at the same time, he also, like I said, if they want to develop, which I mean, if you think about what we've done the last year and a half, that's kind of the direction we've gone. Is like we drafted Kobe, we drafted Mo, guys like that. We're developing Vic Krejci. Oyeka still developing. Like you still have players that you're developing on your team. So it's not like we have shown that we're going immediately for veterans or for guys that are like I guess that big star outside of DeJounte the last couple of seasons. So, I mean, overall for me, I'm kind of just I'm a person who would keep the pick just because I feel like, especially with him in his Sarr's ability to kind of defend at a high level because he's a very athletic 7'1".
Yeah.
He is definitely a defensive culture setter. I feel like he can be for you. You know what I'm saying? And block shots, be all over the floor. Create, and that's something the Hawks haven't had in a while, which is that type of rim protector. And I think that can help the overall defense in that regard. And then, depending on what you do with the guards, I mean, you can the Hawks have a path definitely this season with defense being an issue, especially the last 2 seasons, to really actually be a pretty decent defensive team next year if they do it right.
Right. Agreed. And I'm gonna stay on the same page, both of y'all. There's no clear-cut move that they could make, but I think they should keep the pick because as I look at their roster, man, big man is the only thing they're missing. I've told Chris this a number of times. They finally get that 7-foot guy to go along with a Trae Young. You can make a move with a DeJounte Murray, try to go get a Brandon Ingram wing that can create shots, a guy that can knock down shots at the mid-range. And like I told Chris last night, AJ Griffin is highly underutilized in this system. And I think with his defensive prowess, man, I think Coach Schneider is not using this guy correct. You talk about a guy who has a shot from the perimeter, but you put him in the G League and he doesn't even hardly play this year. I think it's a disservice. But if you add an Alex Sarr with the Trey Young, and you go out and get a Brandon Ingram. That's a pretty nice lineup. And then you bring in a veteran center to help the young guy along. And because, like I've told y'all before, I love Double O, but Double O to me is a number 4 and not a 5. Because just like y'all stated, guys are going to back him down all the time. He's 6'8" with long arms. You need a guy that's 7 feet that can go against the Embiid and go against the Jokic. Yeah, he's a little bit undersized weight size, but
24.
he can hit that in the weight room, get on the diet, and I think he can pick up 15, 20 pounds easy. So, yeah, you go get him, do like they did Wemby in San Antonio, have him 20, 25 minutes, have that veteran to back him up just in case things don't work out. And, hey, who knows, Clint Capella could help him along, and he's on last year of his deal. So he helps him along this year, and they hand the keys off to him next year. I think that's why Alex Sarr makes the most sense for the Atlanta Hawks, because they desperately need that big man for that backcourt that they have, no matter which way they go with it.
Right. And as far as AJ Griffin, man, I don't know if it's a regime thing, because I know AJ was pretty much a Nate guy, so I don't know if that has anything to do with it. But you can't deny the man. I like AJ Griffin. They always talk about his defense, but his offense, he can shoot, he can create his own shot, get into the lane, has that little floater. He got that little step through little floater game that he has as well. So I just didn't understand why AJ Griffin was underutilized this year. I know he had some things going on, personal things. I do not know about what's going on with that. But outside of his ability, I believe that he should have been out there on the court. We should have been able to at least see him a little bit more. But whatever happens with that, I don't know. That's going to be something else to address in the offseason and going forward with AJ Griffin. As far as the whole thing with Brandon Ingram, it's like I like Ingram. He likes to drive to the basket and bring some speed and force, and I enjoy that. But I like Mikal Bridges. I do, but it's got to be the right package. And I know Bleacher Report, they had a package they put up today about Mikal Bridges. So maybe they were listening to Jeff Teague, because they have the Brooklyn Nets getting Clint Capella and the number 1 draft pick from this year's draft. For the Atlanta Hawks receiving Mikal Bridges, Dorian Finney-Smith, Phoenix 2027 first round pick, Memphis 2028 second round pick. Now, I don't know how you guys feel about that. Tell me how you guys feel about that particular pick before I continue.
Go ahead, Bryce.
I mean, I guess my biggest thing is I know Mikal's good. I just don't know how much of a needle mover he'll be for us. Like, I feel like you're bringing him in, which I think he is a bit better defensively than DeJounte, but I mean, realistically, I mean, he'll probably get around the same points per game that he's getting with that DeJounte had. Like, it's not like, especially if you keep Trey, it's not like he's going to start averaging 26 now all of a sudden.
Right.
I think Trey will be the leading scorer. So I don't know how much of a difference it would make in the grand scheme of where we're trying to go, if we're trying to compete. If you said be a playoff team, sure, I think so. But I don't know if that's going to push us necessarily to like Eastern Conference Finals. I mean, it could, depends on, if you get a year like you had in the East, anything's possible. But it doesn't move me. I do like Dorian, but I'm just kind of like, I feel like you're going back again with the same situation where, okay, are we going to move Capella or not? And then you're still in the same place.
I mean, we got to move Capella, and there's no way around it. But right quick, man, before we move on, yeah, good thing. Let's talk to the chat right quick, man. My boy Mark Chaney jumps in very first. He said, I think we should try to move a player and the pick for a two-way player. Pretty good point. We'll get into that one in a minute.
Name a two-way.
Yeah. Go ahead.
No, I was just saying, I was like, about Bryce. I was just glad that he mentioned that about Mikal, because the way that he feels about Mikal is the way I feel about Brandon Ingram, about he not moving the needle. But I feel like Mikal plays better defense than Brandon Ingram for sure. And I feel like he can fill it up a little bit, just like Brandon Ingram. So it's just like, it's almost damn if you do, damn if you don't when it comes to that, because you got Bridges. Yeah, you get some defense. You probably get around the same with DeJounte. You get Brandon Ingram. ain't it gonna be kind of the same, maybe less? Let's actually consider that too, maybe less. I mean, so it's almost damn if you do, damn if you don't, and it almost actually makes you want to just say, just keep the pick. Let's not even worry about it, okay? Let's not even worry about it.
Yeah.
And I feel like also
shut
if
up.
you get Sarr, if you get Sarr, you definitely need to have somebody with some girth behind him, because all you have is a Yucca or Conwu. If you do move on from Capella, who's on an expiring contract, 22 mil, that's a good thing. And if you want to move on from that, you can. But if you do, you gotta have somebody behind Sarr. It can't be Double O and Bruno. You got to go out and make another move to get somebody who
But
can.
but I think another guy, the guy they drafted last year, Mo Gair, I think you give him, I'd say another 2 years, let him develop an offensive game. I think he could be a difference maker for the Hawks. I think he could be a solid bench player.
Yeah, but not no 5. You're not putting him at the 5.
No, he'll be a 4. Nah, 4.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. That's
But,
what I'm saying. If you put
yeah,
the
but
Sarr at
that-
the 5, you need
and that's what I
somebody
told you.
to back up
That's
Sarr.
that's why you got to have a guy, a veteran behind him. And one guy I brought to mind, like I told you, is Jonas Valanciunas. I think a guy like that who knows how to play defense, a physical big man, you get him in here as a backup and teach this young guy. I think it makes all the sense in the world. But what do I know? John Higgins, what's up, my guy? Tevin Phillips, what it is? DA.
Dude, DA.
Except if I'm the Hawks, I'm drafting Brunny so I can get LeBron. It's time for the Hawks to go out and get a legend in Atlanta because it's the only way we're going to get LeBron. To be honest, man, at this point in LeBron's career, I wouldn't even want LeBron. And truth be told, I think he's going to finish his career in LA. He has a plan already laid out. I think he's going to stick to it. We all know he's in the movie business, producing shows and movies. So I think LA is going to be his final home. But Bronny James, he may end up in LA. Who knows? He may end up in Cleveland because he saw LeBron in Cleveland the other night. And to me, that was a sign that he's 50-50 and don't know where he want to end his career. But he came out and said the Lakers, but with LeBron, it's just wait and see. Marlon Cozy, what's good? Robert Blackman.
Don't mess this up, Hawks.
Kenzia, what's good, my dude? Matty Ghost. 20 MC Frazier said draft is trash. Who is the number one again?
The number one again?
We don't know. We don't know. This is my kinfolk, man. What's good, man? Keep Trey and Murray. Trade the pick for Brandon Ingram. I think with Brandon Ingram, man, that would be tricky. Because
I need a haul.
I'm telling y'all,
get Brandon Ingram. I need a haul back.
If it's
I
anybody
need Herb
that
Jones too.
yeah, if it's somebody that I'm going to get from New Orleans, I'm gonna be honest with y'all. It's CJ McCollum is who I would want. Somebody that can get buckets.
Who playing defense?
That's what I was gonna say. It would be too small of a backcourt.
I was about to say because it ain't CJ. No disrespect. I'm just saying.
I mean, CJ also don't come up clutch in the playoffs, so we're basically trade DeJounte carrying the loaded with that again.
Yeah, bro. That's true. That's James Harden's 2.0.
DeJounte and CJ. That's not a recipe for a championship. That's a recipe for another lottery pick. I'm gonna be honest with you.
Yeah. James Edwards said, "What does Atlanta care about draft? We get best player in the world. Who cares what other teams get? I hope they get the only player in the draft that isn't a bust." I agree with that.
Factual.
Our boy Travis Preston stopping through. Yeah, they're not gonna leave a stone unturned. I have confidence in that. Hawks have a generation defensive prospect with offensive upside who in their right mind passing on him, especially for the Hawks, a team who has never had an average defense with Trey on the roster. Yeah, that's true up until DJ got here. Keep the Alex Sarr pick. Good upside. Definitely agree with that. I read that one already.
DeAndre Hunter been our best wing defender, and whatever, take that for whatever it's worth.
Right.
Got to keep
He said
that.
Sarr and JJ is must see TV. He talking about Jalen Johnson, and that's another guy that
can easily play at the 4. Easily play at the 4. The thing about
Boss Trucker, thank you for the donation. Appreciate it. He said they don't take that 7 foot. I'm done. He got a right to feel that way. Chris froze up on us, so I hope he'll come back in a minute. But I'm gonna go back to this. Okay. So we're gonna go back to this question right quick before we go on. would y'all try to move a player and his pick for a two-way player? Is it a guy that y'all think can move the needle? A two-way player that can move the needle for the Hawks?
I think
go ahead.
I think this is one of the biggest issues with that move is that it depends on who's available. I feel like all the players we would love to have make a move with that aren't available, or the team's not going to trade them. The players that are available are guys who are like they're good, but they're not game changers. So it's like they're good additions. Like I think the team will improve, but it's not like that player. Like people would love to see a first pick and a player for Giannis. Well, we're not going to get him.
No, it's not.
We're not going to get him. You know,
Ant-Man. We're not going
to get these guys. You know, those are the ones we really want. But if you're talking about, Mikal and Brandon Ingram and guys like that, it's like, all right, I mean, they're good, but I don't know if they're gonna, really just completely change the fortunes of the team. Right. So I think it's that fine line of like, you have to have a value of like, all right, well, what type of player would we want if we want to give up this package? And then if we can't get that player, then we might as well just keep the pick. Go ahead. And one thing about them, I think the Hawks want to have stability for the future, because I think especially after seeing what the Phoenix Suns have done, I think that's making teams be like, maybe going all the way in isn't the best case, because they'll screw you up if we don't.
Hey, you see what's going on.
Especially when you get to that second apron of the tax, like it says, it restricts the moves you can make, how you can upgrade your team. You basically will be forced to have to get rid of one of your best players for nothing, just so you can have any type of flexibility. So I think that's why you've heard a lot more teams talk about wanting to get under the tax at least, or not be that far above it, because it's like, you want to make sure that you can build sustainability for a longer period of time and have some players you can depend on, instead of, like I said, this isn't 2013 anymore where you can just put big threes together, random teams together and win championships. Teams nowadays are built differently. That's why Denver's so great.
They did that.
4 players with draft picks. When they're on the floor, they're one of the best. They have to add key free agents. Boom. You got a couple other guys you have in there. Now you have one of the best teams in the league who's about to come back from being down 0-2 to the Timberwolves. And aiming the Timberwolves too. So I think that's why, biggest thing you got to establish is your core, and then you got to figure out what fits with that core. So if if you think Sar is that third piece to your core, then and let's say they end up picking Trey, and Trey is their point guard. So Trey, Jalen, Sar. Now you got to figure out what are the best 2 players you can put around them that will help just the overall, potential of the team, and then you can get into the bench and things of that nature.
Right.
And you got to figure out what your team's strengths are. And with the Hawks, I think it's their transition game. If you can find a person that, plays transition very well, that's the type of person you got to go out and get. And that's when you mentioned a two-way player. But music producer and game developer said I would get the Purdue center. Think it's more valuable to trade Capella for another pick. One thing about Zach Edey, man, I would love him in Atlanta, but to me, he's not a first-round pick. He's more of a second round to an undrafted guy, simply because, yes, he's 7'4", but he's slow as molasses. He has an offensive game, but how well do you trust his defense at the next level? So there's a lot of question marks.
Down that floor get different, y'all.
He's another guy that, I would hesitate with. And I would bring up a name from the past that he reminds me of, and I pray to God he don't end up like that, and that's Priest Lauderdale. If y'all remember him, I'm an old school cat. A guy they drafted out of college, he was 7'2", 7'3", but dude could not turn his back to the basket. He was a rebound dunk type guy. He could get rebounds, but his offensive game was terrible. And I would not want to see Zach Edey like that. So I would like him to go to a team that can use him. Right, to a team that can use his potential team with a bigger front court, like a San Antonio, somebody who can, develop him. And I think Coach Pop is one of those guys that can do it, because y'all know he loved those international guys.
Yeah, you never know. They may take him. I mean, I think he may be second round, but if the Spurs take him, so be it. So be it. And that's another team that the Hawks keep on getting, connected to, whether it's for Trey or for this pick. So I wouldn't even want to trade for the Spurs unless I'm trying to fleece them, because I feel like we got fleeced a couple years ago. Whatever, water under the bridge. We're here now, but I definitely would want to try to fleece them back.
Like you're still a little bitter.
I ain't gonna lie to you. I mean, it just was the haul that we had to give up. That's the only thing I was thinking about. and now we're here. So either way it goes, the new CBA rules is something else to think about because it also limits how the teams, some luxury tax can be spent. So if we're trying to stay under that, so we're gonna have to try to make some moves anyway. But
so I think the super team era about dead.
Yeah,
I think
man.
we getting back to the 2004 Detroit Piston type league where you have to have a bunch of role players that know their role, guys that can play together, a guy that knows and runs the same type system, just like I just said earlier. And this type of NBA we getting back to, and actually I love that.
Nothing wrong with that, man. They need to change the defensive rules too. Yeah, because the defender out there just be kind of not knowing exactly what to do, man. They don't give the defense enough credit, and there's so many fouls being called, so many wrong calls, as well, man. The officials have just been crazy and atrocious. But the truth is, though, back to ATL, man, we have the leverage, y'all. We have some leverage. We can either upgrade this roster, the current roster, just by going to get our guy, plugging him in, or or if somebody else falls in love and gives us the right trade package, we could possibly do that as well. Like we were saying before, no stone unturned. It's nothing wrong with looking at everything from all angles. But I have a question for you guys. Let's say SAR's the pick.
Hold on for that. Mr. Jane Edwards said AJ had a close relative die. His father went through it, and the injuries. He looked great in G League along with Kobe Gayer and Trent. Then he was injured again. He'll be fine. And James, I sure hope that because, like I told Chris last night, AJ is a talent that Atlanta hadn't had from the wing in a while. And don't get me wrong, I love Bogey, but Bogey is so up and down. He reminds me of the Z-Force at Six Flags, if y'all remember that ride. But Jane Edwards, man, that's a great point. And also, man, Mr. Jane Edwards, thank you, man. I got a surprise for y'all, man. Mr. William Andrews will be joining me on June the 4th, so that's going to be for my old heads. So if y'all remember William Andrews, I know y'all do, June the 4th, I'm going to put that out just for my old school guys, man. My diehard old school Falcon fans, man. That one just for y'all. So, Mr. Jane Edwards, man, thank you for that. But Uncle Steve, our boy Uncle Steve, man, y'all go check him out, Uncle Steve Lounge. Always talking Falcon footballs. Catch him Friday, Sunday, and Monday. So he has 3 shows during the week. So y'all please go check that out. Said no matter how you slice it, we aren't 1 or 2 players away from a chip. So draft SAR. My son said he's a potential big time defender, and I agree with that.
No, he's
something we lack. And I said the exact same thing to Chris last night.
And he can defend on the wing too. That's something that's just underrated, I believe, man. Being able to defend guards on that wing. So that and having a presence on the inside, because the one thing that you got to look at when you look at SAR's tape, if anybody has been able to check it out, a lot of times he had to play help defense because a lot of times the defense was breaking down because the offense of the other team was penetrating the lane, getting in real fast. So he coming out from different angles, different positions on the field, on the court, and having to make a play.
Get out that football.
Yeah, I know, man. We just had some football talk, man. But still, though, guys. So that's another thing to take in consideration. The guy can play defense. He has some offensive upside. Is his offense complete? No, it is not. So that brings me back to my question about: do you guys feel comfortable with Double O at the 5, SAR at the 4, and Jalen at the 3? I will go ahead and say I kind of don't like that, only from the offensive perspective, because that means Jalen will have to develop his shot even more. SAR, he will have to, so he can play the 4. I feel comfortable with him at the 4 more so than the 5. But then we have the Double O problem at the 5. Defensively, I think it can be cool. But either way, even if you flip SAR and Double O and put Double O at the 4, Double O still got to have a better shot. Think the offense will have to still be better, and you still will have questions there. But what do you guys feel like? Would you guys be comfortable with that front 3 right there?
Go ahead, Bryce.
I feel like my biggest issue would be spacing with that lineup for the most part. That's why I'm not the biggest fan of it. I think, I want to touch on OO because people have kind of made it seem like, I'm not sure about him. We might need to get rid of him. I was just like, and I've kind of sat here. I've been a big OO fan. And I kind of sit here and I'm just like, remember the last time we seen OO? If you remember that last stretch when he was the starter, he averaged 18 points a game.
Mm-hmm.
Offensively, in terms of his touch around the rim and things like that, he has that. And he's been working on the jumper and the 3-point shot. It's not great, but he just, he's working on it. And I would assume he's going to work on it again this offseason, right? And I also think that what Quinn wants to do, OO can do that. I think, we do want the height, we do want more girth, but at the same time, Okongwu is a good defender. He's not, like I said, I always said this about between him and Clint. Clint is a better shot blocker. Okongwu is a better defender. He can defend. Like Okongwu can defend multiple positions, which is the biggest thing I think the Hawks need is versatility. So for me, I'm not really, even though people are like down on him for some reason, I'm not really too worried about because I feel like if they decide to do anything with JJ, we've seen that those two can play together because the numbers reflect that that actually is like positive on the court when they're together.
It is.
Because I feel like their games do work off each other. You hear Jalen all the time talk about like throwing alleys to because Jalen has playmaking ability. And then the biggest thing with that is just going to be Sard. How does he fit into the equation? Like, I mean, because it's like how is Quinn going to construct the offense? Because I know he wants spacing. That's the biggest thing,
right? You definitely
don't want Jalen, Sar, and Okongwu just hanging around the perimeter. You want one of them in the paint. So you got to kind of figure out how do you best get the best out of everybody in that situation. Maybe that's something Trey can help with just because of his playmaking ability.
Right.
Which also I think if we draft Sar, I feel like if you draft Sar, you need to convince Trey to stay because we know the type of playmaker Trey is. People are talking about get Sar, Trey, and I'm like, DJ's not like DJ's can like he can run an offense and get assists, but like he's not that type of passer. Okay. He's not going to be sitting here getting easy opportunities for his bigs like that. Trey does. He made Clint Capella look halfway decent as one of the best pick and roll bigs in the league. I mean, we remember the 2021 John Collins, Trey Young pick and roll, one of the most unstoppable pick and rolls. That's why they got to these conference fucking like to stop it. And so I think it's one of those things where I think if the space, like I said, the spacing would be the issue. I know a lot of people want to put JJ at 3. I think the Hawks see him more as a 4.
That point 4, bro.
You just have to kind of see what the biggest thing is. You just have to see what you want to do with OO and Sar in that regard. Because I would not be shocked, even though I know people would absolutely despise this. I would not be shocked if they did move Capella and then OO potentially like started the year just because of what I first said, the minutes thing. 2025, that means he's a top bench player playing those minutes. Sar would be. And obviously, depending on matchups, you could be like, all right, well, we're going against a bigger team here, so we probably need to finish with Sar, things of that nature, right? Just because also, OO, like I said, it's not like if you put him in there, it's like, oh, man, we ain't good. Now, I also think it depends on what you do with the backcourt. If somehow they decide to keep training DeJounte, then you need to start Sar because you need somebody who can clean up for people getting into the paint. Because that I said if they draft Sar, it could give them a reason to keep them. Because now it's like you have that guy who's like someone cuts into the paint, and then you got Sar right there, and you still got to pass it out. Mm-hmm. Where if you get an actual point of attack defender, you could potentially go OO just because now it's not like you're worried about so much as getting into the paint all the time. And like I said, OO is a good defender. Jalen's an improving defender. We'll see what the 3 position looks like, and guy will go from there. So there's different options there.
Yeah, and it's really going to be, at that point, who plays well together on the floor. Do they play better with the bench players or do they play better with the starters? Because if you got Sar and Jalen Johnson in the front court, who plays the 3? Is it Bogey?
Well, here's the thing, too, we also have to think about. Not to disrupt you, but I said this yesterday. I was like, I think everybody's kind of under this impression that Hunter is gone, and I'm like, I don't think that's the case, guys. At the end of the day, I think unless somebody gives like a decent offer, I think Hunter's going to be here next year. Even though we all hate him because of the last game we saw, and but at the same time, I've said it. He made improvements this year. He had a career high in shooting and a career high in points. So
he did.
It's not like he had his worst season. I just say DeAndre Hunter's not somebody you should count on as like their top 3. Like when you need to count on him as like that guy, that's where I think he has his struggles. When he's just off the bench or he's like the 4th or 5th guy, that's when you've seen Hunter play really, really well.
Hunter played very well off the bench, man. I'm sorry he did.
Yeah, and to be honest, I think He's Nicholas Batum, Boris Diaw kind of forward at this point. A guy that's going to bring you decent defense and knock down a couple of shots when you need him to. But like you said, other than that, that's all he's going to be. That's all he's ever going to be. Yeah, he was the number 4 pick in the draft.
Then nobody wants that contract too, fellas. Let's be real about that. Nobody really wants DeAndre Hunter's contract for the production. That's what they're gonna say. But the production, that's exactly what they're gonna say, man. And we was talking about that as well last night about how the Hawks have done these contracts and then moved off of it. You realize that from the Kevin Huerter trade, we pretty much got nothing from it, right?
Yeah, and Kevin Huerter on the team like last year.
We paid him and then shipped him to Sacramento for free for whatever it's worth. I'm just saying it's still a move that was made. We paid him and then shipped him and then got nothing in return because Sacramento didn't make the playoffs. Ouch.
Which we'll figure out if that turns into next year, since that moves over to next year. So
right, and that's what I'm saying. But basically what I'm saying, we control no fate. That's my point. We control nothing when it comes to that. We have to hope that they make it the next year, and we don't even know that. So that's just something else to think about as well, man. The Hawks are in a crazy situation. They really could keep the pick and make it easy because Sarr and Trey in the pick and roll game, yikes. You know, you think about that. I mean, that's another reason why you would have to keep Trey, because Trey, you trade Trey, you trade away your best facilitator. Like DeJounte, I feel like what he does better than Trey maybe is shot selection and and defense. You know, he's a bigger guard. He gets in there, he has tenacity. I like that about DJ, but other than that, that's the only things I feel like he does better than Trey. I mean,
but you won't get proper return if you trade Trae Young. That's what people got to understand. You talk about a guy that can put up 26 points a game, average 10 assists if he wanted to. His defense even stepped up last year. He played better defense last year.
Right, he got more steals and everything.
So it's a lose-lose in my opinion that if you trade Trae Young, but ATLGA Faithful, man, y'all please go check him out on YouTube.
Brothers.
Always support his man, and he's getting closer and closer to 1,000 subscribers. So help him get there, man. Help him get there. But it's a couple of prospects I want to go over before we go on. We talked about Alex Sarr, 2 season overtime elite, 9.4 points a game last year, 4 rebounds, and 1.5 blocks. But the thing is, he only played in 10-minute quarters, and he only played 17 minutes a game. So that lets you know they're already managing his load going forward. So Zachary Reicher, another guy, 6'8" forward. He shoots well from the 3-point line. Solid defender, catch and shoot guy. Cody Williams of Colorado, 6'8". Young guy, 19, long, versatile, athletic, high energy. He can play 2 all the way up to the 4. He can go from guard, I think, go guard all the way to power forward. Solid rebounder. Montez Brazil, 6'10", G League Ignite, versatile big man. He can handle the ball, bring the ball to the court, sort of like a Jalen Johnson. 13 points, 2 blocks a game last year, and almost a steal a game. So is it anybody in this draft other than Alex Sarr that y'all can see come in, make an immediate impact with the Hawks?
Yeah, and it was none of the guys you just named. None of the guys you just named for me. It's Donovan Clingan. If I'm gonna go anywhere else, I'm staying with the bigs. I feel like the Hawks need a big. One or two player away, like Uncle Steve said earlier. No, I do not think we are just 1 or 2 players away. I think it needs to be a collective effort from the front office to put the right pieces around Trey finally, or make the right trades, or make the right trade packages. Regardless, don't get fleeced. Don't reach and don't do nothing stupid. You know what I'm saying? That's the whole thing. Like, because I've said it before and I'll say it again. My faith in the front office is any number you can think of that comes before the number 1. So 0, -1, you're right on track. So I don't have faith in them to do this right, but they have to still do this right. Again, like I said, if we're not going to go Sarr for whatever reason, you don't like him. You got to at least try to get you a big man. I like Clingan. He's 6'7", 282, 7'7" wingspan. Totally different athlete from Sarr. Sarr's the better athlete, the better wing defender. You don't want Clingan out there on the wing. He's going to strictly guard your 5, but he can catch lobs. He doesn't have the vert that Sarr has, 29 inches compared to Sarr's 37 inches. But at the end of the day, he's still a guy that you're not going to be able to push around. He has offensive upside, and he has to work on his offensive game because he has trouble when guys put their hands up and it's right in his face. He has trouble getting through them and still being able to score. But on the defensive side, he's great in the pick and roll. He can drop down and protect the rim. He actually, for a guy that big, he actually moves pretty well. And he can get back to the basket and block shots and protect the rim. He has some good upside. It's just, again, he's not the fastest guy, but you got to think about he's 7'2", 282. So how fast you think he's going to sprint? But he still has better physical attributes and a physical presence like Rudy Gobert. He has bigger hands than Rudy. And even though he's like about 40 pounds heavier, he's a little faster than Rudy Gobert, talking about combine numbers. So that's another guy that you can have. You get you maybe another point of attack defender. And then this guy right here, and you can really lock it up. He has potential to have passing ability of a shade of maybe Vlade Divac for those who know who Vlade Divac is. If you don't, you can go back and look at some of his highlights. And like I said, he's not Vlade, the player, but he has some shades that just from his view and his sight. He can be able to see the floor. He can be able to get it down to a player. Again, his feet, his versatility on defense are in question. But again, a big body, a guy that probably won't get pushed around. And in the half-court game, when the playoffs come, he's a guy that you can possibly use as well. So those are just things to think about if we're talking about other players other than Sarr. I'm going Clingan because I just need a big. I need me like a true big, a true difference maker, somebody that I can put with my current roster, or if I move a player or two, it still won't hurt me too bad because I got me a big, So yeah, that's who it is for me.
Yeah. And just to add on to that point, the only thing if we did draft him, I think if you draft a guy like that, you have to keep O because you got to have some type of versatile big. You can't have Clint after because literally teams will just know we can go small and he can't guard, and it will just be a mismatch every day with teams who actually have effective 5s that can play small. So that would be very important. But for me, probably, I guess if I had to, probably the guy from France. I honestly forgot his name. He starts with an F though, but he's the other.
Is it flipping?
It's like
flipping.
No, it's no. He's French. He's an overseas guy. I can't remember his name right now. Smitty mentioned him. I just can't remember at the very moment.
Matas.
I was about to say Brazil.
I don't think so. Hold on.
Zakir Rice is the other guy.
I think it's him.
There's Zakir
Rice. Yeah.
I think it's like
that's the guy I was looking at.
Yeah, he's like a small forward, power forward, I believe.
Yeah.
I
think so. I think so.
Versus big man with a perimeter game. Yeah, it's him. And he's a catch and shoot type guy. He kind of reminds me of a Peja Stojakovic when he played with the Kings in the late 90s, early 2000s. Guy that can shoot from the perimeter. He can bring the ball up court. And I think if he is the pick, you definitely have to keep Big O, and then you definitely have to still go get another big man because you just got to have that rim protector. You got to.
Yeah.
They said Zachary dishwasher.
I'm dead. Nah, but like the thing about him is that he's also really, really versatile. He could play like 3 through 3 and 4. That'd probably be where he slots in at. Really, obviously he can shoot, he can score. He's more of, like I said, all around, can guard multiple positions, things of that nature. So I could just see that if they wanted to go in that direction, for real. But that's just because like realistically, like you can't really consider anybody else outside of like wing to bigs in this draft unless something happens in the backcourt you feel like, oh, let's replace DJ with like or trade with a rookie, which I mean, best guard is either I think Topic or we're talking like Reed Shepard. So I mean, I don't know how y'all feel about a white man being back in the backcourt with him again.
not Reed Shepard, bro. Come on,
Reed Shepard, man. Rose up the boards, crazy bird. They said white man can't jump. He said,
not as my starter.
Exactly.
No, not as my starter.
Hey, that's I call him Bob Sewell 2.0.
Man, I can't do that.
Bob Sewell, you young, you probably don't.
Yeah, I actually remember Bob Sewell. I still got one of his trading cards. As crazy as that may sound, but yeah, man, Hunter, man, I'm telling you, man. As much as I know most of us want to move on from Hunter, I just don't think
defensive wise, it would make sense.
Package. Yeah. I mean, defensive wise and package wise, overall, you don't want to end up having another John Collins situation where you're just dumping salary when it comes to Hunter. You may have to just ride Hunter out for a little while longer, and hopefully you can get the most that you can out of him. I like him coming off the bench. I know a lot of people like him in the starting lineup and against certain lineups. Yeah, I do. But primarily, I like him coming off the bench. I like what he brings to the second unit, and he doesn't have to necessarily go against the best guy night in and night out when he's coming off the bench. Then you think about it, you get Sarr. That's another guy who can help DeAndre because he may necessarily not have to guard the best player all the time.
Having that guy, can really impact the entire defense and help everybody out defensively. Because now it's like before when you don't have a rim protector, it's like, man, if I don't stay in front of him, it could be a turnstile up there. When you got a guy like that, it makes it easy. Like if you've watched the Spurs play, you've seen when Victor's in the paint. When people go in there, it's like, oh, he's right there. I got to pass out. Top of the key. He near the basket. You at the top of the key. Nope. The guy goes somewhere else with it. So it can help your defense having that type of rim protector. And I also said I think it helps, like I said, everybody just in general because like, all right, well, it's not like we have an easy path to the lane. Guys can defend guys a little bit better because like you have to know how to get around
guys feel more comfortable too, Bryce, as far as on the defensive end too. Exactly. You gotta think about it from a confidence standpoint. If I know I got my guy Sarr behind me, I'm probably getting into you a little bit more as a defender. And then if you do get by me, guess what? You're not going too far because I got 7'1" with a 7'5" wingspan waiting on you. Mm-hmm. So it's like you just said, it would make the defense better, man. It would make it easier for everybody if you was just to go ahead and just draft Sarr as the athlete. His offense, I believe, will come along. He's working on it. And another thing, I'm gonna tell you something that I hate. That's a pet peeve in basketball: not calling out the screen and not playing up on the screen. Guess what? Sarr calls out screens and he also plays up on the screen. Defender sets the screen, guy comes off the screen, pulling up. We see it all the time. Open three. Sarr doesn't let people do that. He has that hand right there every time, and he doesn't have to go far because he's 7'1" with that 7'5" wingspan. So again, that's another guy, man, that can really just change things. Sarr, he's working on his three. A guy that I mentioned earlier, Klingon, he's working on his three, but I think Sarr's three is more advanced, or should I say, it's ahead of Klingon's, because Klingon got a long way to go. Klingon is trying to get into the top 10, so he's trying to do as much as he possibly can to show teams, hey, I can do more than what's just on my tape. Sarr, he's more just saying, hey, man, I'm just doing what I do normally. And other things are going to come along because I'm going to continue to work on them. So I understand what the chat is saying. Sarr's the pick. Don't make this hard and everything. And I can agree with that. But we just got to understand that the Hawks got to do their due diligence all the way around in this draft. And even though we can be set in on Sarr, they can be set in somewhere else to fit this Hawks DNA, as our general manager, Landry Fields, has also illustrated.
Right quick. Bryce, what you think about Cody Buffkin? Kobe Buffkin.
I like Kobe. I think Kobe. Listen, this is one of the reasons why I also say we got to trade one of them, just because he ain't going to be able to get into a rotation like that till he does. Because I think Quinn has showed like they're going to stack Trey and DeJounte if they're both here, and then Bogey's going to take the bulk of the backup 2 minutes. So at best he might get like 5, and I feel like at that point you're not really letting him develop and move forward as a player. So for him, that's the reason why I think it improves your defense too, because then you can move Kobe into that backup point position. And like I said, if you can get you a 2-way guy next to Trey, now you have evenness in your backcourt. If you run a rotation of 4 guards, Bogey and Trey can be more offensive focused. Kobe and whoever you get can be more defensive focused. And you can always have at least one and the other on the floor at the same time. So you're never having like a backcourt. I mean, I know there can be times they'll probably have Bogey and Trey out there, but like for the most part, you're not going to have just a automatic weakness in the backcourt with the rotations and things of that nature. So I just think, like I said, Kobe just needs to continue to work on his game, continue to work on his jump shot. He has a bit of a mid-range, has a bit of a 3. Just got to continue to get that improved, get that up. Like I said, he'll probably be working with Korver and them. Korver worked with Hunter when he was hurt, and that's when he came back to 40%. So I expect him to be working with him. I expect him to be working with Sarr if they drafted him. And so Kobe, I think, is good. I think, and also too, people forget this was an issue before we got Dejounte. One of the biggest issues was that we didn't have a backup point who could run the show because Lou Williams was the score first guy. Kobe, I think, can run the show a little bit, and I think that's really valuable.
I agree.
Facts.
I agree with that, Bryce. Good analysis too, brother.
Dave, my confidence in this coaching staff is getting better over time. We know Coach Snyder is a defensive guy. He had Donovan Mitchell and Rudy Gobert as a dynamic duo in Utah. So now, like I said, this is why Sarr makes sense to me. You get a dynamic defender in a Alex Sarr, and you have your dynamic point guard in Trae Young. So as time went on, my confidence is getting there, but they need to nail this draft and put everything in the right spot. Because like we talked about, you talk about DeAndre Hunter, you talk about DeJounte Murray. What are they known for? Defense. So you talk about 2-way players, those are 2 guys that can possibly get Coach Snyder and his team over the hump. But we got to get that big man to bring it all together. Just that simple.
Yeah. Yep, big man. And then, of course, also do you bring in, send some valuable pieces, man, some valuable pieces to fill out the roster. It's a couple of guys. I feel like you should bring Krejci back. I think he showed some good signs, man, of some things we can do with him, man. Some shooting, some defense. You remember that 30-point comeback? He made it tough he helped make it tough along with Wesley Matthews and others to make it tough on Jason Tatum, make it tough on Jaylen Brown. They were hunting for whistles and they wasn't getting none. No love. So you gotta take that in consideration. And I feel like you gotta try to see if you can get younger. But I know in a minute we about to get ready to get up out of here. But I just thought of something that we and the chat can participate in. And all these trade packages and all the stuff that people are talking about this. All right. So if the Pelicans call you trying to make a trade for let's say DJ, what are you asking for in return?
I mean, preferably, if I could get Herb or somebody, that'd be great. But I don't think they're gonna give him up. I think they want Herb and they'll give up Ingram. So that's what they'll probably counter with. Like, we'll give you Ingram, and then they'll probably, knowing them, they'll probably be like, all right, so they may not do that straight up. So they may be like, or Clint. I'll give him Clint. But
I give him Clint. All day long. Expiring contract. I give it to him.
Expiring contract.
Somehow, see, hopefully they might Dyson Daniels, maybe. Somebody, so it'll be that'll probably be what I'm looking at realistically.
Next trade. I agree with Bryce. Next trade.
Yeah. I say again, my first thing I'm asking for is Herb. Honestly, game, man. Yeah, they can have.
You're not
Herb.
getting that.
I know, man, but I'm still gonna call and say as soon as they pick up the phone, hello, Herb. Yes. That's exactly how I'm coming. I already know they want to get rid of Brandon Ingram and Larry Nance, so they may end up doing something like Brandon Ingram, Larry Nance, you may get Daniels if possibly if you were to do maybe DeJounte and Clint. It's a possibility you may see AJ Griffin on the move just because we didn't Snyder didn't draft him and he wasn't used. So if you want to use that as a young piece that you'd be like, hey man, he can shoot. I don't know, maybe if you want to go that way as well, that can be an option. But
and if AJ can go to a team like Boston or New York, somebody that can use his skill set, I think AJ Griffin he gonna pop off. Because sometimes those type players that are not used properly, they go other places and you see their skill set and then what the hell were we thinking about?
Mhm.
So yeah, I think AJ goes somewhere else, you're gonna really see his full potential.
yeah, you possibly can because we're not doing anything with him currently. I think he's gonna be fine, just like the comment from earlier, but we still got to use him though. You know, he has skill sets that we can use on this team. And going back to a point that Bryce had made earlier, man, we have been drafting young guys and developing young guys. So we got to see what some of these young guys are doing. I know Seth Lundy just had ankle surgery as well, too, to clean up some things. So I know he's going to be on the recovery train. But you got Mo G. I would just say you got Kobe Buffkin, who I like, by the way. Wanted to put that out there that I do like Kobe Buffkin. I do feel like he can be that backup and run the offense. I think toward the end of the year, him getting some reps like that actually helped him a lot, and he just needs more reps. I believe he just needs more reps. And what Dixon got down here, man? What you got, Larry? DJ Clint.
That trade, he said he'll do DJ Clint and AJ for Brandon Ingram, Larry Nance Jr., and Dyson Johnson.
Right, and that may actually be the trade. That may actually be the trade. So that's another thing too. I still want freaking Herb Jones. So the only way we can get Herb Jones is if we trade Trae Young, to be honest with you.
Pretty much.
That's the only way we get Herb Jones. And I ain't gonna lie to you. If they call me, hold on, Landry, let me get that phone. What y'all want? Trae Young. Okay, I need Herb Jones. I need Dice. I need Daniels. Shoot, man, I need I'm gonna need a pick in there. So I'm gonna need a couple picks in there, and I still may need another player.
With a trade like that, you would have to add a third team.
That's fine.
It wouldn't work.
Unless they give up Zion, and then that'd be a little bit tight closer. But Zion will be
man.
Yeah.
I don't think.
Let's get to that. Let's get to that last trade.
Shoot, the next trade I would say would be if the Spurs are calling you. If the Spurs are calling you, but they're calling you for Trae Young, what are you asking for?
Oh man, that's another one I had to go 3-team trade because
I'm asking for a haul. I'm sorry.
I would have to get Keldon Johnson.
Don't nobody in Atlanta want Keldon Johnson,
but I'm telling you,
Andre Graham.
Hey, I'm telling you, that's what they're gonna give you. I'm telling you.
I'm talking about don't nobody in the city limits, the outer limits, the suburbs, the project.
Who else they got then? Who else they got? Let me know.
Bro, I'm just saying, just like
other than Wemby, who else they got?
Devin Vassell.
And they not coming off Vassell.
And right, he not going nowhere. That's why I didn't name him. So
the Spurs, I don't even know if they could give me enough, to be honest with you, because I want all my picks.
They the only thing they can do, they could probably be like, listen, it's like that draft trade we've seen. We'll give you our 4 for 8. We'll give you back all the control of all the first round picks we have. Mm-hmm. Then we'll give you Keldon Johnson or Devontae Graham, and then we'll see.
That's all you get. I'm telling you.
We'll give you back control your entire future plus a couple of players and some picks for this year's draft. You'll have 3 in the first round this year.
And,
so
you can
just use that.
Look how it worked out last time when we had 2 top 10 picks. It didn't work out so well.
And I ain't gonna lie, if you do make that trade, I'm still not drafting all rookies in the top 10. I'm making a phone call to try to see if I can move a couple of them picks for somebody else, dog. If you're doing that,
if we kept him, that means Reed Shepard coming to Atlanta.
This man,
he's projected to go for it.
This
You
man.
just had to say
I'm
that.
just saying, man.
Reed,
that's
you got love on this show. You hear me? You got love on this show, Reed. That's all I know.
Listen,
I
I
honestly,
said I would
I'd
draft
rather go Dillingham, me personally, because I've watched Kentucky and I know what he looks like. I mean, I know you can say the same about if it's me, I'm going Dillingham. But and that's another thing too, man. You got Dillingham, you got Shepherd, you got I can't unsee Zachariah dishwasher now, thanks to Dave. But
I don't know what do you think about Isaiah? I think it's Collar from USC.
Isaiah Collier.
Yeah.
He that dude showed flashes, man. He was hurt, came back, averaged 17 points a game. His offensive game is there, and he has an upside on the offensive end. Can he translate on the defensive end? It's the biggest question mark I have. Offensive wise, he belongs. And one guy that he reminds me of is Buddy Hield. Y'all remember him out of college, man, straight sharpshooter. And that's what Collier reminds me of.
Well, wait a minute. I didn't say trade for Herb Jones, though. Like, not single. I said if they wanted Trae Young, I need an overhaul. Herb Jones is a part of it. I still probably need about 6 or 7 more pieces to go along with that trade before I trade. You know, it's just I'm not getting fleeced for Trae Young. I'm going to be the fleecer. All right? Like, I'm just no, it's not Trae for Herb Jones. I would never do a trade for Herb Jones straight up for Trae Young. That would never happen. I would never do that. Honestly, I probably would want to fight somebody called me.
If you would have said that straight up,
no way. I need 3 players and like 4 picks for Trae Young. You know what I'm saying? If they call in for Trae. And Herb got to be one of those players. And Brandon Ingram. Probably and Daniels. And I need like about 3 or 4 picks.
Would y'all take a call from the Miami Heat?
What y'all want?
Depending on who you give it up.
What y'all want? I ain't gonna lie, man. What Miami got that I want? Let's just be honest. What Miami got that we want?
How you feel about Tyler Hero?
See, you playing right now.
You know that's
what you're talking about. The same guy that Pat Riley just tore up in an interview.
Terry Rozier, a first.
Absolutely
that's
not.
What they're gonna try to give you.
Absolutely.
I think you got that in bogey.
That I want, and they're not coming off of Bam, and I'm not giving you nothing significant to make y'all better to come off of them. So I'm just saying, Lakers. I don't even know why Lakers are even still in reports. I really don't.
They said they want a haul for Austin Reeves. I don't understand that.
Listen here.
You talk
about the guy that Jamal Murray made his. Never mind. I almost just said something on live.
Yeah, you let that go. Let that go.
Man, absolutely not. Absolutely not. Okay. No.
The only player that I could think of right off the top of my head that I would trade straight up for Trae, and that's only if we keep DeJounte, and that's Devin Booker. Anybody other than that, I'm not flinching.
I'm not trading for. No, I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that, bro.
But what did we just say? Cody Buffkin, he can run this team.
Booker disappeared too much for me, bro. I mean, overall,
but what do you expect when you got 2 other stars like a Bradley Beal and a Kevin Durant on the team? You had too many ball dominant players.
Bradley Beal.
Too many ball dominant players on the same
squad. Devin was a ghost before those players came over there.
I don't know about that.
Okay.
I don't know about that. I think it just came to light this year.
Listen, when they made the finals, Devin Booker couldn't have been a ghost. So he was very crucial in the Suns making the finals. I mean, Chris Paul didn't carry that team. So but what happened the following year though? I mean, the entire team was
when it was time for him to step up and take care of that team.
Entire team was trash.
And also, what happened in that finals? What happened in that finals? So he didn't disappear. Him and Chris Paul didn't disappear in that finals.
I mean, hey man, yeah. I mean, they didn't play their best basketball. You're right. I mean, listen, this is why playoffs is always a funny argument because it's like we like it's funny to me that we go through like all these rounds and a guy could ball for 3 rounds, but if he disappeared in that 4th round, we're like, yeah, he's garbage. I'm like, well, I mean, maybe it was a good game plan, maybe it was a good matchup, He got to
Man,
learn from that. Blah 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 blah.
You got to think about the team aspect, though. You want to put Booker on the Atlanta Hawks.
Him and Trey will probably go crazy.
I think they would work. You talk about two guys.
That's something
both of them can put up. Either of those guys can put up 50 points any night, and one can set up the other. So it will work. But Larry Dixon said, who would have a better front court than the Hawks with Brandon Ingram, Sarr, and Jalen Johnson? Now I have Trey and Kobe at the guards. That's a 45 seed next season, easy. And Larry said he's standing on that. What y'all think?
4 to 5 seed, easy. Oh, that's tough. That's tough because I'm thinking about. I mean, well, first of all, I like Kobe because Kobe is good on defense. He moves his feet and he's good with his hands. Pushing him into the full limelight. Are you ready for that? I guess that would be the question. It'd also be the matchup. BI.
I mean, at the end, I'll let you continue.
No, I'm just saying about BI, man. I don't know, bro. He's only 26. He's still young and everything. It just certain players will not just be looking for certain clutch things, especially for the Atlanta Hawks, because we need players that we can bring in that's going to be winning now, and players that's going to be coming in that's not just looking for just a paycheck. So I'm just thinking about certain guys, man.
But Brandon Ingram at the 2. What shooting guard in the league who gonna stop him? Well, if I had an idea and I seen it in the chat, and I agree, if you put him at the 2, could nobody stop Brandon Ingram? And I think it cut down on his injuries as well. So I would definitely look at that because we don't have DeJounte. He's probably the 2 going into the next season if we don't trade him. I would rather have a guy 6'9" that can create his own shot, that can space the flow. I would rather have that any day over DeJounte Murray because you add points. And what was our problem this year? Points on the wing. Problem solved. You still have Hunter.
That's interesting though. DeJounte at the 2. I mean, I'm sorry, Ingram at the 2.
That's all he is.
Thought about it like
everybody plays him at the 3, but he's actually a shooting guard. We talk about Kevin Durant.
Yeah, you look at it with the Lakers. Didn't he play shooting guard with the Lakers?
Right. My point exactly.
Like I said, biggest thing would probably be, again, depending on the rest of the lineup, just be spacing, pretty much.
Yeah,
right.
You definitely still got to have that no matter what. And if we're talking about spacing, guys, again, that front court that I brought earlier, you can't have something like that. JJ, Double O, and Sarr. You wouldn't be able to have that because you're not going to have enough spacing, especially if you still have an Ingram too.
So you probably have to.
That's my opinion.
You probably have to keep Hunter just for spacing because Hunter, like I said, if his 3-point shot's there, he can at least kind of use that and create it. Because like Hunter could be to me a bit of a volume 3-point shooter a little bit. I don't know if JJ is yet. I mean, obviously, again, offseason could go by. He develops it. We'll see what happens. Like I said, I expect multiple guys to come back improved. So we'll see how that impacts how we do things. We can only just go off what we've seen. But, that would probably be the thing. And then, obviously, like you said, defensively, you're straight. And then, like I said, coming off the bench, still got Kobe, still got Vic, still got Muhammad, still got, Okongwu. I mean, you basically have, 4 guys who can defend. And then, like I said, it's okay if Bogey's not a great defender. I mean, he puts in effort, but like
he puts in effort.
You just need to give him to kind of have like he had the season he had this year, kind of 16 points a game off the bench, be your leading 6-man guy, and kind of have that be what you want. Because I think as the season went on, we had injuries. I think one thing we realized is that the bench suffered because Bogey had to go into the starting lineup because we didn't have anybody, so we really can rely. Now, obviously, it's funny. I'm gonna mention this guy because nobody's talking about him and everything, but he really played well for us like down the stretch. Is there any chance that we keep Garrison Matthews at all?
Oh, I thought you were gonna say Bruno Fernando, but Garrison, cardio goat, as my boy Larry was saying.
He shot 40% from 3. So
I think you got to think about keeping
you do
Garrison. You got to think about it.
I mean, he may not play a lot, but like just to have him on the roster in case,
Yeah.
I mean, he came along as the season went along. I feel like he got better as the season went along compared to the beginning. Because in the beginning, I was tearing his behind up, and Larry was too. Just listening to the commentary on the Dixon way, man. And by the way, turn that commentary on the TV down and turn them up, man, when you're listening to the shows and also the games. But yeah, man. As the season went around, especially the second half of the season, I feel like Garrison he started knocking down more shots. He started playing with more confidence. If you think about it, he started playing with more confidence. Him and Veet, they was out there doing their thing, and in that 30-point comeback, he was good on defense as well. And against some I forgot who we played the very next game, but he had a good game to where like he was like the leading scorer. I believe was it Detroit or something like that. I think we played Detroit. Then we played Detroit or Portland. That game he was like the leading scorer. So he showed you a glimpse of what he could be like as far as a scorer. You're not going to make him the primary target, of course not. But he just showed you, hey, yeah, I can play some. I can play offense. I can play some defense, and I can be a utility player. So those are the type of players you got to keep around, y'all. Because when Trey went down, we really see.
Mark, what you got? Yeah. What you got against Trey Young?
Everybody played better without Trey. Hey, man, the thing about it, that's kind of to be expected because you can't hunt for Trey. You got to understand that's a game plan. When teams are coming and you see Trey kind of out there looking like, okay, where's Waldo sometimes before, and you will also see Trey out there getting exposed. Those are schemes. Those are game plans. They're going after him on purpose. So, right. I mean, when he's not on the floor, I mean, that's one element that you can't scheme for. You have to play it straight up. So there is a downside to having Trey, but it's so much upside that you can't ignore. You can't ignore.
And I think
Mark, go ahead, Bryce.
And I think too, people talk about the Trey Young, the way he played. Here's the thing I also tell people when they say, "Oh, well, we play better." Well, here's the thing you got to think about. You just lost your star player. You have to play better. People have to step up. People talk about DeJounte's numbers. Well, DeJounte had to do that. Like people are acting like, well, he's doing this without us, so he's better. Well, I mean, yeah, if he's the guy now, you would expect his numbers to jump. I mean, these are just expected. If they didn't jump up, then they would lose more games. So I think when people talk about that, it's like, you know, you're fake. Those players kind of had to. Plus, I always say this when it comes to DeJounte and Trey. When DeJounte was the main guy, teams really didn't double team DeJounte still. Even when he was hooping, they said because of the fact he's not an elite playmaker, they said we don't have to worry about DeJounte beating us with his passing. So we can still just we'll take our chances, give help, but we're not going, you know, we ain't going to just double team and da-da-da-da-da. We don't feel like that's necessary. Trey Young, you saw multiple times over the last few seasons, teams will start by double teaming Trey Young.
Oh, yeah. Bro.
And that tells you they're like, we need to make sure this man cannot take advantage of what's going on. So I think that's why I'm just kind of like, all right, guys. I mean, they're supposed to. Like, I mean, they had to change their offense. They had to adjust. We can't look at it as an indictment on Trey.
Right. They got to adjust. And if you look at how the Timberwolves guarded Jamal Murray in game 1 and 2, Trey Young sees that all the time. Once he's crossing half court and everything, they come in the trap, and you want to get the ball at the hand because no matter how much they talk noise about Trey, they got to respect Trey game. It's only about 20% of the league that can really stay in front of Trey. Otherwise, he's getting into the lane and being able to create whatever floater, whatever lob, find other people. It's some passes that Trey makes that you'd be like, how in the world did he see that man on the wing? How in the world did he see that man cutting? It's things, it's intangibles. His playing style is one thing, but that's, like I said, DeJounte, his shot selection and his defense is the only thing that I consider better than Trey. Everything else is Trey. I'm sorry, everything else. You can't deny 25 to 10 for 5 years straight.
Trey's inside game is very underrated. You talk about a guy 6'1", who's not scared to go into the paint, and that's what I love about Trey. He fights, and that's something you can't teach. But wait.
That I want to talk about. Well, not talk about. I just want to make this quick point. The last 2 seasons that Trey was the solo dude, we had winning records as a team. Both of those 2 seasons.
Yep.
We were 500 and below 500 the years DJ have been here. So we have literal evidence when Trey was the guy that we had winning teams. So that's why I don't get when people say, well, we had a better record without him. Different team. You have, I mean, obviously you have DJ that
Different
steps into
coach.
that role. Different
team,
coach. I mean, but like the last literal 2 seasons, Trey Young was the solo star. We had ring records. So like we can't just act like that doesn't exist. Like it exists, guys. There's evidence that we've made the playoffs and we've won games with Trey Young as our solo guy. We added DeJounte hoping that we could take some of the pressure off of him and that upgrades our team. That's why we added DeJounte. Hasn't worked out the way we wanted. It happens.
And also,
hey, bro, it's a comment in here. I was just about to say the same comment.
He may click
Brandon from Brandon H.
Too many people can do that. Go ahead.
I was saying this comment from Brandon H. Because I was just about to bring this up about how last year in the playoffs when we was going against the Celtics. Yeah, I'm just saying Murray did kind of disappear on us when we needed him to step up. If you don't believe me, go watch the game again. For the ones who were there, y'all seen it. It was Trey. Trey was taking over. Trey was the one. Shoot, man, Trey was the one that hit the game winner to go ahead and get us a win, man. So I'm just, take that for whatever it's worth too.
Mark and Larry Dixon, we got to get both of y'all on the show, man.
Oh yeah,
y'all been in the chat going ham. So
oh yeah, we gonna
get y'all in here, man, because I like to hear y'all point on and why y'all feel a certain way about Trey Young and DeJounte Murray. Y'all been making great points all show, especially with Brandon Ingram. But trust me, when we do another Hawks Live, y'all got to jump in.
Which is gonna be very soon. We're gonna try to get another one in this week if possible. So if you guys are available, y'all want to come on as well. So we can talk of these Atlanta Hawks, man. I'm surprised that this thing even went as long as it did. And yeah, I will go ahead and be on record saying, no, I'm not heavy on Devin Booker, and I never have been. So it is what it is.
But yeah, man, this has been a great show, man. We're going to do another one soon. Trust me, we got about, another month before the draft. Probably do 2 more shows. And if Bryce wants to come back on, he can come on. But Larry and Mark, you got to give me your info, man, because I still don't have it. So if you're on Twitter, DM me your info so I can reach out to you. But
same Mark. Same.
But trust me, man, always great points, man. Dixon Way, like Chris said, turn them announcing down, turn up the Dixon Way, man, because him and Shonda, they doing their thing, man. They I think they had 2,000 subscribers, are almost there, a little bit over. But they doing their thing, and they also have gear on Fanatics.
Yep.
So if y'all want some fly gear, please go check out the Dixon Way. He'll tell y'all how to get that fly gear on Fanatics, because we're gonna support those guys, man, because that's what we do. But for my boy Chris, my boy Bryce, man, always great talking to y'all. Trust me, Falcon Talk just gonna get better as well with time.
Oh yeah.
Go out and check Berto on Bleacher Report. Schedule release tonight. Please go out and check Berto on Bleacher Report, because Berto's going to give y'all the download on the schedule. He's going to be on as soon as the schedule drops tonight around 7:30, I think. So y'all please go check out Berto, because Berto be doing his thing. Mr. 95 North, part of the 95 North Sports Machine. But for the chat, my boy Bryce, my boy Chris, we're going to holler at y'all later, man. Peace.